is Zoya. Now I'm standing outside my company, and today I will introduce all of our products with you.
你这是有设密码吗？
对，有设密码。
上次可能人太多了，所以才会卡住，我在猜。
这次想弄它小个，
连我自己的都卡住了。
老师，我们9:05的时候开始。
对呀。
老师，我们开始了。Hello everyone, welcome to Aidite webinar. This is Lei from Aidite International Marketing Department. I'm your host today. Today we invite Mr. Kang to talk about how to contain the failure factor of implant restoration in lab work. The course will last 1 hour. Please enjoy it. Now let's move to Mr. Kang. Can you hear me? You can start.
Thank you. Okay, so now I show my display. Wait a minute. Okay. Wait. Okay. 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 Now it's in Asia. It's the 9 p.m. o'clock, and I don't know how about in the America time. So it's really thanks everyone can to join this webinar again. And I also thanks the Aidite hold this webinar and let me have the chance to share my experience about how to contain the implant restoration. Because if we want to make the implant restoration, we have many different problems than the neutral restoration. So especially about maybe the cosmetic abutment or the cornea restoration with the implant. So now today I will share some my value experience for everyone, and then maybe this can to help you to reduce your problem. And when we started today the webinar first, and I will want to talk to you about how to happen the problem. We have the two stages to happen the problem with the implant restoration. One is the prefabricate, and when we make our implant restoration before send this case to your customer, and we have many problem and need to take care the point in our laboratory, and we can do think what is we need to take care. When we get the case from the dentist and it's implant restoration, we must to think what the type we need to design. Maybe it's the screw retain or the cement retain, and how to design about the emerging profile for the tissue. And we need to use the standard abutment or cosmetic abutment, and how to set our occlusion position to reduce about the bite force problem. And the second problem is more interesting. If your first step is not do very well, you will have a problem after you send the case to your customer, especially this situation already set or screw it in the patient's mouth. Maybe during 2 months or half a year, that will repeat, and we can see the many problem like the ceramic chipping or framework fracture or the cement loss or the tie base broken. And how to prevent this the problem. Now we can to think the every step how to do it well, and then now I will start to show you how to design, how to think about this. And the first, if we get the case or impression from my dentist, and after pull a model, we get this case. Sometimes our order is from the dentist and all the patient's order. They want to the cement type or they want screw type. But sometimes when we get the model, we must to think dentist order is really good for this patient, because sometimes they check everything in the patient's mouth not very clear. So when we get the model, we can to check every point, every area, and every angle, and maybe we can to help dentists to make the more right the choice. Maybe we can to help the dentist to adjust the layer treatment plan. But if possible, no problem, we just follow dentist's order. And then now in this step, we just make sure we do our work. Every step is very, very well. Don't make a mistake, and you can get the nice result. But if every step you don't to do very careful, maybe you have the small trouble in the some step, and then finally the result you will have a big problem. So when we get the model, we must to think before you to really to do the job. Don't get the work the right start to do. Must to think first. And recently nowadays we make the implant restoration just almost two choices: cement retain or screw retain, or sometimes about the bar or the full mouth long span restoration. But it's just only these the two type: cement retain or screw retain. Okay. I don't know. Okay, I don't know. Sometimes maybe it's about the wrong. Yeah, because my computer is a little late. Sorry. And when we want to create and design to make the cement return restoration, we must think what is the advantage about the cement return. And the cement return is like the normal restoration. Dentists just can use the feature level impression. They can use abutment level impression like the normal neutral teeth restoration impression, and he also can use the feature level impression. And the cement retain, the advantage is the more aesthetic without the screw hole, and the workflow is easy. So sometimes dentists wanted to make a mistake with the feature precision wrong. Your dentist can use the abutment level impression, and this is more easy about the restoration is the cement type, because that we have the deviation tolerance. We can to have the deviation tolerance. Why? Because screw return you don't have any range about the position wrong, but the cement type and the cement retain you have a little range. Sometimes maybe it's not the total sit down or not very every position is the total right, but you also can to finish this job, because we use the cement to keep it, and the cement space is a little range. And when you use the cement retain restoration and the cement retain type, maybe sometimes this case have some problems chipping in the patient's mouth. For us, we want to repair it. It's very difficult because it's the finally permanent cement. But sometimes nowadays some customers they like to use the temporary cement to fix the implant restoration. Why? Because nowadays we use the scanner and the mini machine. So our abutment or our crown, the fitness is better than the handmade. Sometimes we use the casting, the technique, and during the investment, sometimes it's not very precise, but when we use the scanner and the mini machine every time and the range, we can do control it very precise and very well. So nowadays, some my dentists they like use the temporary cement to fix the final restoration, and then maybe one day have some problem, they can to remove it and to take back to me to repair. And then now is the more popular is the screw retain, because the screw retain type is the why is popular. In the past, we use a casting skill, but the casting we need a casting metal on the we say maybe the gold ceiling or casting abutment. But during the workflow, we get the final abutment maybe it's not very precise, especially it's the connector surface. It's not very perfect to contact the fixture platform. So sometimes it's not stable or sometimes have a gap. that will make our restoration have a risk for to maybe the chipping or screw loose or maybe the bone loss. So this is not good. In the past, we want to create a very nice and perfect screw retain restoration. It's very difficult, but nowadays we also can do during the use the through. We can also through the scanner and the mini machine get a very nice result. But the screw retain is the big problem is the screw hole because it needs to block out so we can see the screw hole. In the posterior, maybe the dentist can to use composite and to repair very nice and beautiful like the morphology on the screw hole. But in the anterior, maybe your screw hole is open in the visual side. This is very difficult. So now maybe sometimes some company they have the angle abutment, and we can use the scanner and the software to adjust this screw hole. It's more easy. And if the dentist can to implant the position very nice, and in the anterior we also can use the screw retain. And this is the easy way because we don't need to use any cement. So dentists just use a screw to lock the restoration. So we don't worry about the cement and make the tissue to inflammation, and don't worry about the tissue restoration. So this is more easy to maintain the period health. But I said the screw retain the type is no dimension tolerance for implant restoration because we must make it very, very precise because we use the screw to lock it. And your surface must be very precise. If there's some area is not very fit, your screw have not balance the stress. Sometimes maybe screw will broken, or your restoration or your tube type base have the danger to broken, and your ceramic also can too easy to chip in. And if you want to create a screw and a bridge feature level impression, so this is also very difficult because the dentist wants to use a feature level impression, the bridge in the patient's mouth after he removed the tray and we to pour the stone in. Sometimes not every time the position is very right or the send the patient's mouth. So if we want to create a screw retain, we always needed to try the abutment or to try the position. But the screw retain have a good advantage is for easy to repair, because we just remove it on the patient's mouth, we just lost the screw. So everything is more easy, but the make workflow is difficult than the cement type. And then now we can to think what is interesting about the implant restoration, because for the normal restoration, patient's root and maybe the abutment is still very well in the bone. And maybe after the endo treatment, dentists can to make the post core on the root. But if we wanted to create the implant restoration, we lost the root. So sometimes after the implant feature, we need to think, list the feature and the size is never the same original root. So the image profile with the tissue is very important for us, for dentists or for the technicians the same. Because the dentist, maybe he want to create a customized or a beautiful tissue form, he needed to modeling and to impression customize the tissue form for the technician, and the technician needed to duplicate it. So this is the very difficult make the same. So we must do think, if the same size crown and the different size the implant feature, how to design about the tissue and the image profile. This is very important. And if we have the same size crown and the same size the implant feature, we need to choose the standard abutment or to recommendation your dentist to use the custom abutment. Maybe the feature is the implant very deep. You choose the standard abutment is not good because you use it to make the restoration. Maybe it's not easy to clear the cement, or dentist not easy to check the crown is the total sit down to the abutment, and also not easy to fix in the patient's mouth because if it's too deep and the tissue also have the place will to push your crown. But when we to design and make the custom abutment on the feature, and we can make it more like the neutral abutment, and we can use the abutment to shaping the tissue level. We can use the custom abutment to shaping the emergence profile, and make our restoration is easy to make. Why? Because our margin and our profile and everything is set by the custom abutment. We just easy to make the crown. So this is more easy. But if we want to create the custom abutment, we also to think to and careful to choose the material and the custom abutment design, because this is important. Sometimes if you make the wrong custom abutment design, later will easy make your tissue or your emergence profile will gingival resorption. So that's not good, because sometimes we exposure about our abutment or feature, dentist and the patient want to redo because it's not aesthetic. So we must to think what is the advantage of the custom abutment. One is the easy to tissue modeling, and we can to take a better aesthetic condition. And the oral hygiene is easy to maintain because the custom abutment we can do set the margin by ourselves. So for the dentist, he wanted to clear cementation. So he wanted to clear the cement is more easy, and the tissue health is more good. And when we design a custom abutment, we can to set and meaning the good the retention for this abutment, and also for restoration is not good. After cementation is not easy lose or wash out, and we can to use the custom abutment to correction the feature angle for our restoration. I say that sometimes dentists will to after the implant, the feature angle maybe sometimes a little to close the buccal side or close the feature side, or sometimes it close the paddle side. But we can to use a custom abutment to adjust and correction our restoration, and make the final restoration is easy to make. Sorry, the slide is a little wrong, so it's okay, don't worry. And I say the emergent profile is the interesting about the custom abutment, and the second point is needed to think and consider about the profile under the tissue. Why? I said if the dentist the implant the feature and it's a very nice position is a good, and for the technician is easy to finish and make the restoration. But sometimes if it is too deep or to close the tissue, we not easy to decide our emergence profile for our custom abutment. So we can to see this the two implant feature position is a different. One is more this, and then one is normal. And this is an interesting thing in the past. When we want to design emergence profile under the tissue, in the past we like to make the convents. But this convents sometimes we always think when we make screw it in the feature, we can use this custom abutment to support and push our tissue. But sometimes you make it to convents, later will make your tissue more easy to resection. This is not good. because when your tissue is resorption and your weight is different, if you choose the metal, the custom abutment, sometimes that will exposure and it's very, very ugly. But maybe some, if you choose the zirconia abutment, maybe it's more good. And also zirconia is more good friendly for our tissue and the bone. But it still can to decide to convince for our tissue. So nowadays, my recommendation is when you want to create a for more this impact, you can do single because we just the margin under the margin maybe the 1 to 1 millimeter is the comments, and under we just to make it more straight because it can to push our tissue or bone too much, and also can give some space for our tissue, so we can do easy to maintain our I said how to say we can do easy to maintain our the tissue level, and it is not easy to resolve it. So this is interesting, but in the past we always like to design the convents, but this is a new design like the a little concave. We just push the 1 to 1 millimeters the gingiva area, not the all cosmetic abutment, and is the all area to push. This is an interesting design for many the dentists they wanted to implant, and this is a very ideal treatment plan for a dentist. But I think this is not easy. But my thinking and my concept is like this. And when I to finish my cosmetic abutment in the patient's mouth, I think it's also no problem because the this is from the dentist, the ideal implant guide. Sometimes they will do think that they are how to say, this is difficult to explain. Neutral neutral tooth and the implant, they need to over the 1 millimeter, and the two implant they maybe we need we can to keep the bone and the two implant distance the over the 3 millimeters. And then is the ideal position is the implant feature into the bone, maybe the I have to say maybe the 1 millimeter. So this is interesting. When we wanted to create the cosmetic abutment, don't to make it the all comments, because the some feature is into the bone. When you is the bigger the comments, when you want to put your cosmetic abutment in the patient mouth, that will early to contact the bone. So they will make your dentist not easy to screw it and make their cosmetic abutment to set to the right position. So I like to design a little straight and comments under the margin under margin the 1 millimeter. But I just to design the comments the 1 to 1 millimeter is the more comments to push the tissue. And when we wanted to design the cosmetic abutment for the cement retain the restoration, this is my design notic, and you also can to think what is different about your work now. If we wanted to choose the metal cosmetic abutment, we must to think in our margin level setting, because if you choose the metal cosmetic abutment, your margin level you must set it under the tissue, maybe the 1 millimeter or to the 1 millimeter. But if you choose the full ceramic abutment, your margin can to set in the even or just under 0.5 millimeters. because when dentists remove the temp or remove the healing abutment, they screw the cosmetic abutment in the patient's mouth. Sometimes the tissue is not very stable. There is a little change. That will still a little change. Maybe the first try is very nice and under the tissue maybe the 1 millimeter, but maybe next time when you finish it, just under the 0.5, or that will become the even. So when you choose the metal cosmetic abutment, you must be very careful to setting your margin label, because if you setting is a little wrong or to even, maybe will make your margin exposure supra the tissue, and for the patient this is very ugly, maybe like this, or the posterior crown also exposure, and the lead will become very make the food insertion it for the patient is not good oral hygiene and not easy clear lead. So when we want to make the metal abutment, we must to be very careful to set our margin and the foam. And this is another interesting thing, because nowadays I believe that every laboratory and the technician like to use the mini machine to create the cosmetic abutment, and for the anterior everyone like to use the zirconia, but which the abutment is more better for the aesthetic restoration, titanium or the gold abutment or the zirconia abutment. But even you choose the zirconia abutment, this is still different about the neutral abutment. So for when we set the abutment into the patient's mouth, the tissue, put it into the tissue, and the tissue view always is not the same the neutral abutment. If you have the very thick the tissue type, I think that everything is more easy to create. But the Asia patient there, the tissue is more the thin type. So for the Asia technician wanted to create the cosmetic abutment, you must to think and think first and then very careful to design it. So for my opinion and my recommendation, I think for anterior and for the Asia patient, I think the zirconia abutment is the first choice. And if you have the very small space and you really don't have enough space to create the zirconia abutment, I think you must to choose the gold abutment, or you create the titanium abutment and coating the color. Because why? Titanium abutment, the color is very like the silver color, and when you set it in the patient mouth, we can to see the tissue exposure a little shadow, and there is the black dark shadow. So that is not good and very ugly. So we can do coating the gold color, maybe use the Kang. They have the color coating machine, and you can very use the titanium liquid, and you just take the electric and put your titanium abutment into this liquid, and you can get the different color. Just use a different volt, like this. So sometimes if I to make the anterior cosmetic abutment, and for the more thin type, I like to use this skill and to coating my titanium abutment become the gold color. And this is not very difficult, because you just take it, put it in the titanium liquid, and you can get this. So it's very easy, and don't to think. And another important point is that don't to coating the color on your contact surface, because the contact surface will connect the feature, and I said the connected feature, the surface must be very precise. If the not precise or not the very flat or fitness. Maybe your restoration or your screw have some problem in the in the patient's mouth. So it's a very dangerous. So don't to coating the color and the coating the titanium on the contact surface. So this is very important. And I said the zirconia abutment is the first choice for the dentist, for the patient, and also for the technician. And this is easy to make because we can to use the mini machine and the scanner. So also can to save a lot of time for us. And sometimes when the restoration finish in the patient mouth, this may be the 15 years ago case. After the 8 months, the dentist and the patient told me the tissue is very thin type and a little resource. And we can to see exposure of little zirconia abutment. But the dentist and the patient say he see is nothing, and he don't want to remove it, and he don't want to use the tissue graft. Patient say it's okay. So we still to file this case, but it's never come back. So for my opinion, maybe that you choose the zirconia abutment and maybe some problem in the patient mouth, you don't need to repeat and do again. But if this is the metal abutment, I think that not every patient can do accept about his metal abutment exposure because it look ugly and very dark. And this is interesting when we is the same patient, and we to made the two different cosmetic abutment. One is a titanium abutment, and one is a zirconia abutment. And you can do see is interesting. I think the margin is also the even design, but we can do see is a total different. Zirconia abutment is look the very smooth and more harmony. But the titanium, you can do see very significant and clear the margin line. And another interesting thing is that we can do see the tissue. This is not a very thick the type, but you can do see the titanium abutment tissue is exposure a little dark shadow and it's more black. I think this the patient don't like this view. Is like the layer, the neutral abutment look have the metal porcelain that is very black and dirty. So almost the patient don't like that. So if possible, you want to create the custom abutment, I think the nice choice is a zirconia abutment. You see, this is the black, the shadow. And if possible, when we to create the custom abutment, try to make the your abutment have the shoulder margin, because the shoulder is have a small platform and easy to make you to design your restoration. Even you want to layer in the porcelain on the zirconia framework, or you want to make the monolithic. In this area, you have enough space, and you can get more beautiful effects for your restoration, because in the margin area we have the space, and this the platform and this shoulder also can help you to easy and to check that your crown is the setting, and to check is the total sit down. And if you don't have enough space, my recommendation try to make the heavy chamfer is more close to the shoulder. But if you can to make the shoulder, maybe have heavy chamfer is the second choice. For the zirconia restoration, please try to don't design the filler edge, because filler edge is more dangerous. Sometimes when dentists want to setting it, the crown or the restoration on the patient mouth is not the very right angle. Sometimes maybe your zirconia will chipping, margin will chipping. For the metal ceramic, the metal is more strength and have a little flexible. But for zirconia, it's very hot and no tension, no flexible. So when you set it is not very stable or right angle to set it, the margin will chipping or broke. So this is not good. So if possible, please try to design the shoulder or the heavy chamber. And your margin profile, please follow the tooth form, because this can make your restoration more beautiful and more like the neutral abutment, and also easy to support the tissue, facial tissue. So when you finish your restoration, is not easy look like the implant or fake teeth, because it's real like the neutral abutment and the neutral root. So when you make the custom abutment and try to make your image profile and your margin and your custom abutment form follow the original root. And another thing is interesting. Your mesial and the distal margin please follow in the dental papilla curve. Sometimes some technician will state that your margin is flat. The mesial, buccal, distal, and the palatal is flat. And when you design this custom abutment, when you finish your final crown, you will feel and discover about your mesial and the distal two tips. And when you finish it, dentist is not easy to clear the cement. And sometimes if just the single crown and the mesial and the distal is a neutral teeth, sometimes in the dental papilla have the more sharp form, and the later will make your restoration is not easy to set the very well. So that will have some problem to setting your crown. So please, you want to create the custom abutment, please follow in the dental papilla shape. And the two tips margin also to make the cement is difficult to clear. Like this. So please set your custom abutment to is the flat margin all along. And in the posterior crown is the same. Sometimes the free end and the maybe second molar we have the implant restoration, and we design the custom abutment. Sometimes we will create like this. The interdental papilla mesial is two tips, and for this is very difficult to clear and very difficult to set your crown, because in this area sometimes we will bone. We will pour the artificial tissue on the model, but the artificial tissue can duplicate the bone area on the model. So sometimes we create a custom abutment, we put the custom abutment in the artificial tissue, we all feel it's very soft. But in the patient's mouth, sometimes under the tissue have the bone. Bone is not flat, is the shape and the follow in the dental papilla. So sometimes in this area, you're not easy to put your custom abutment very well and set on the feature. So for dentists, it's very difficult to finish the case. So please try to maybe take the X-ray to check that, or to ask the dentist, or please try abutment first. If you have some problem, you can adjust it. Don't one time to finish the crown, because you don't know about the interdental papilla bone in where and the position, and you don't know the interdental papilla tissue thickness. So when you make your custom abutment is too deep, margin is too deep, it's very difficult to set it. So if possible, I said follow the interdental papilla area and just push the 1 to 1 millimeter and design the custom abutment. The margin is 1 to 1 millimeter is commenced. And under this area, please try to design the straight or concave, and the latter will more easy to setting and finish the crown. And if possible, I said, if you follow the neutral abutment and follow a neutral form, so you also can to design your custom abutment is like the neutral abutment and follow the anatomy form. So you can get a more nicer retention especially in the posterior. Sometimes HRTs, the vertical dimension is very small and not enough. For the posterior crown, you can try to design your custom about the retention foam, or sometimes you can create some retention groove, and the latter will make your crown is more stable on the abutment and not easy to cement loose, and also the screw loose. And under the tissue, please the high polish, even is the zirconia. If the high polish it, in the let will more friendly for your tissue surface, and also not easy to and coat the plug on the surface, and that also make your tissue will bruise, follow your abutment is very well, not easy to resorption. So please to high polish the emergency profile area under the margin. This area. And like the list, screw retain is the same. Oh, and the second and another is important thing is please don't apply the glaze or a stain on this area, because under the tissue area, we want to make the zirconia surface or your titanium surface more friendly with your tissue, but the stain or the glaze is not good for our tissue. So please, if you stain or apply glaze on this area, when you send the case to your dentist, before you send the case to your dentist to polish it and remove the stain and the glaze in this area, because that will help you restoration in the patient's mouth more better, and the patient's tissue will grow more well. So please don't apply the glaze and the stain under the tissue. And this is another like the other list. Follow the anatomy form, and you can easy to make your crown. Because if you choose like the standard abutment, it's not never the same the final restoration or the original teeth, the form and the shape. But we can create a custom abutment, follow the anatomy form, and when we finish this step, we want to create a final restoration is more easy, and it's like the normal neutral abutment restoration. It's very easy. We don't think, and also can get it more nicer support. And for our porcelain or for the occlusion is the same. And come back, we can think about which different between the zirconia and the metal custom abutment. When we in the past, I say we wanted to create a metal custom abutment, we can use the casting, or now we can do mini type abutment. And in the past, the implant restoration, we want to create a custom abutment. It's very, very difficult, because we needed to buy the very expensive gold cylinder or casting abutment, and we still to waste up on it, and casting a semi-pressure alloy on it. So this is very expensive, the custom abutment. And metal, how to say, the metal is not very friendly with our tissue. So sometimes in the surface, you are if you don't polish very well, for the tissue, sometimes we want resorption, and when you have the scrape on the surface, that in here sometimes will stay on this custom abutment surface. So this is a very bad and not good for the patient. And another is very, very difficult, and the big problem in the laboratory is not easy to casting precise the final custom abutment, because we needed to waste up on the cylinder, and when you to casting the semi-pressure alloy on it. Sometimes it's not easy to make it very casting very well or precise. Sometimes you will see this. So many technicians maybe every meet the situation. You feel you lost your gold apartment or casting apartment. You need to buy again because this is need the very high technology, very sensitive technology to make this the casting customer apartment. And even me, not every time do very well. But for my co-work or my staff, sometimes they will make like this. So I think this is not good the decision and not a good choice. So if sometimes I will recommend my dentist, maybe you can to use a standard apartment or we choose to the mini apartment. Don't use the casting. And then now the semi-pressure alloy or gold alloy is more expensive. Nowadays, I never to do the casting apartment now. And the casting apartment we know is the traditional production, and it's a very expensive way, and you will pay a lot of the time cost, and it's unstable quality because you won't get the nice result. It's very difficult, and the very high failure rates during the casting position. And you need the high technology and the high sensitivity skill to make it. And it's difficult to post adjust. I say the polish and everything, and it's a low aesthetic. So in the past we don't choose, but now we have the mini machine and the scanner, so I don't never to do that this way. And then now it's more easy if you wanted to make the metal titanium customer apartment. I can to use the very easy to direct to scan and the callback design, or I can to use a waist up the apartment shape for the scanner and just to follow this waist up to 2 minutes. So it's a more easy way, and this is a digital production. And we can do use a waist up to double scan and or digital design, and it's a stable quality and more easy and no failure rate. Because if you're not that good, you can do mini again, and this is the cost is very low, and there's a very fast production. And if sometimes we have a problem, the data can to production, and I said it's a low cost. And for the Laconia apartment, we can to think the two different way to make a Laconia apartment. In the past, some company or some brand they offer the full Laconia apartment, and maybe the posterior can to meaning the full Laconia apartment, or they have a vacation fit the Laconia apartment. Or and now it's more popular is the type-based bond Laconia apartment. But which one is better or which one is good? We can to think and to see this study. For the full Laconia apartment, connected surface is the full Laconia, and the vacation fit is the metal. But top Laconia is very big, and the layer contact surface in the Laconia inner surface is very small. Just use a screw and do vacation the metal base with the Laconia. And now is the more popular is like the cement type. We to create the type base and the cement our Laconia apartment on it. It's like another crown, but this is apartment. And this is a more easy way and easy to create. And we also have I say the dimension range. We can a little maybe a little loose, not a very total sit down. We can use the cement to keep our Laconia apartment on the type base. If you have enough length or retention, you can to keep it very well. Just like to cement your crown on customer apartment or standard apartment. But the other two type of Laconia apartment is more weak and more dangerous in the patient's mouth. Why? Because for this study to test, we can to see the full Laconia apartment, the chance and the fracture low is also better than the vacation type. but the fixation type is not very weak. The problem is the interface and the zirconia will easy to the break and the level spread. So this is a big problem for a fixation type zirconia. And for the type-based bond is very well and stayed very nice. If you have the more longer or more bigger the cement surface, you can get the more good and the more high strength, the number strength. And full zirconia abutment, sometimes in the patients, the mouth, we have the failure, and the problem is what? Because when we to design the full zirconia abutment in the patient mouth, the dentist to talk on the the zirconia abutment, we have the strength leave our full zirconia interface. And this is a bigger problem. Sometimes when you to finish and cement your crown on it, this stress is still in heat. And when patient to chewing to bite again in the cycle, during the cycle, sometimes this strength is over the zirconia strength, and the leather will broken and chip. Especially in leather is the problem is the interface. And when you use the zirconia direct touch your implant feature, sometimes we always know the abutment and the feature have the micro space. And when we use a screw to torque it on the feature, and when patient to chewing is a micro mobility and to touch and wear your feature interface. So sometimes this is not a good thing. And it's the same. You see, the second is also is the torque, and the screw strength is live in the inside, and maybe during maybe half a year we can to see our zirconia is the chipping. So this is the danger. So if possible, I more recommendation use the type base, because our screw is the torque on the type base, and the type base outside have the cement, and the cement outside is the zirconia. So this is a very safe design and a safe way. So this is interesting. So in the past, I ever designed a different type of full zirconia abutment. Never success and survival in the patient mouth over the 5 years. And every full zirconia is a redo. So now I never do this again. And the fixation type, the zirconia abutment is also have another interesting thing is that I said the zirconia is very hard and very hot, and our metal interface is more soft. When you use the screw to lock and expansion your interface to fix and the fixation your zirconia interface. Sometimes I say that mean they have the micro space, and when patient to chewing, that will have a micro mobility, and that mean your zirconia will to wear at least the metal interface. So you can do see this the zirconia the edge the inside. You can do see a lot of the metal scrape in the zirconia. That doesn't mean zirconia is to wear your metal interface. So maybe during the 1 year or 2 year, that also will lose. And just keep the screw and the interface in the patient mouth, but your zirconia superstructure will sprain. So this is not good. I also to meet this situation in the patient mouth. So nowadays I never to do this design. And for type-based bond, the designs also have the interesting problem, because some company in the past, when we have the type-based can do cementation, so many companies they offer us the type-based for zirconia abutment to cementation. But maybe like the CEREC or some maybe the Stroman nail variable base, sometimes it's very short, and we don't have enough the surface to cement it. So if your final restoration or your abutment is too longer or too big, and this is not a good way, because you just have a very small space to cement your zirconia. So I said, when you to chewing and bite it, or you adjust it, later will move. And in the patient's mouth, sometimes you will wash out or lose your cementation. So your zirconia and your type base will leave and spread. So this is also not good. So nowadays we just to make sure, it's a very important thing. You just to think, if you want to design a type base for to cementation your zirconia restoration, please make sure the length is the 50%. The length is the over 50% your final crown, and then you can to get a very nice retention and then good the cementation surface and the area, and then later we'll make it in the patient's mouth very stable. And another thing is also to take a care design your zirconia thickness. Please make sure, especially in the posterior crown, make sure your zirconia thickness on the titanium based margin have enough. Please over 0.5 millimeter. If you under it, sometimes when patient to chewing and have the lateral force in the patient's mouth, margin area will chipping or broken. And when you have the defect, sometimes your saliva will into it, and maybe you will wash out your cement. So this is another the dangerous the point. So please to make sure that your zirconia restoration margin and the abutment margin is over 0.5 millimeters. This is very important. And another interesting is about we wanted to create the implant restoration. We must take care about occlusal the position and the bite area. But I must state in this the point and this key point is very competitive because it's not the totally about the technician work and the technician job. So this is responsibility. Some part is in the dentist. So I don't want to discuss or explain too much or too deep. So I just told you make sure 3 things. First thing is please make sure and adjust the occlusion. Make sure your bite area and the force is follow the feature axis. If you is not follow the feature axis in the stance, that is that will more easy to chip it, because it get more bigger lateral force and more easy to failure about maybe your type base or your crown, or later will make the patients the bone loss. So please on the articulator, because I said it's not the 100% for the technician responsibility. Just make sure you on the articulator to make sure your bite and your area position by the position is follow the feature axis. And the second is on the articulate. Please reduce the all lateral force, because the implant is done the PDL, so it's very sensitive with the lateral force. If you have a too big lateral force for your implant restoration, that will affect about your implant feature and also easy to make the bone loss. So please to reduce the all lateral force in the patient's mouth. Sorry, in the articulator. Patient mouth is the dentist work. And don't to design spring the feature and the neutral tooth the stand. Even you to design the double curve. This is very important for the technician. Never help your dentist to make this design. If sometimes the patient's the situation is very terrible and the dentist no way and no abutment can to make the bridge, but you must let him know this is not a good design. But if dentist or the patient accept and they know the risk. They wanted to design is also okay, but for the technician, we never to make this the design, because this is wrong, and the PDLO and just only fix on the bone. This is different. The same bite force also make the different stress on your restoration and the good and the feature. So this the framework and your restoration is very easy to fail. So this is a very dangerous design. So please do this design. So I just want to tell you these three things about the occlusal design in the lab work. Other is the dentist work. We just follow these three things and make it well. And if you know this, and we can very easy to create some implant restoration very well. And I said today is the design, so don't to explain or to show some about the aesthetic. So we can do see this interesting. One is the veneer, and one is the implant. And if we want to create the other same, so I create the implant. I create a custom-made zirconia abutment, and I also created an inner core to duplicate and simulate about to simulate the neutral veneer abutment. And I also to create a two veneer decision veneer on it, so I can make the same situation and the same thickness for this restoration. So I can very easy to finish this job and this case, and I can too easy to get the same final result. So this is what you can to see. One is a neutral abutment, and the one is the two-piece, the zirconia custom abutment and the veneer. So when dentist wanted to finish it in the patient mouth, he to set the zirconia first, zirconia abutment first, and the inner core second step, and finish the two leasing desiccation veneer in patient's mouth. So this is a very easy, and we can do see the margin line and the tissue label, and the Chinese is very similar, and it's not you cannot easily discover if this is the implant. This is the implant crown. One is the implant crown. It's like the neutral abutment because they have the same situation. And this case is the same. It's an interesting case. We have the veneer implant, veneer crown, implant crown. And if I want to create the same color and the same situation, so it's interesting. I also to create two custom abutment, and I create a three inner core. I make my crown have the same inner core like the veneer abutment, and I make the sixth veneer, and to adjust and use the porcelain to modify a little. It's very, very thin and external stain, and I finish this case. So I get the same situation. So it's also like you can do see the 1-3 is the veneer, 1-2 is the implant crown, and 1-1 is the veneer, and the 2-1 is the crown, and the 2-2 is the implant. So implant crown, and the 2-3 is also the crown. So this is an interesting design, and we can design and take care and make our job very well in the laboratory. But when you send the case to the patient, to your dentist, sometimes the problem is about the repeat. Is just only the maybe it's very difficult because when dentists to set the crown and finish it in the patient's mouth, have some problem for us. We want to repair and to adjust is not easy. So sometimes after fabrication, the problem is not to solve. So if possible, we need to design and to prevent this problem. We wanted to prevent this problem to happen. We needed to think the material and our design like the prefabrication. So this is the interesting way. So now we to check again. After application, we always to meet the repeater reason is the ceramic chipping and the framework, the fracture or the cement loose or type S broken. And this is easy to happen in our work. Why? Because I said the implant restoration without the PDL. So sometimes it's very easy to chipping, especially our porcelain job. And especially for the full mouth case, the patient's bite and occlusion is not stable. He will to check and test the right or he more comfortable area or position. So sometimes when you to finish this case with the porcelain job, sometimes you will very easy get it back to repair. So for zirconia porcelain or the metal porcelain, which one is the better? In the past, we know, and I also saw a lot of studies told us the metal porcelain bonding is better than the zirconia bonding. This is the truth. Yes, for the neutral abutment is also the truth. So for you create a metal ceramic on the neutral abutment and the zirconia layering porcelain on the restoration on the neutral abutment, you will easy to find and discover zirconia is more easy to chipping. But for the implant case, you can do see this study. He researched over the 2040 articles and the resulting over the certified included about this study implant support crowns. The final and the conclusion, they are chipping rates very similar, but for the zirconia is more friendly and the biological better than the metal ceramic and metal abutment, and also than the metal ceramic and the more least aesthetic problem. So for implant restoration, I think the zirconia is more better than the metal ceramic. So this is the interesting conclusion. If you have any interest about this article, you can do research it on maybe the PubMed. You can do see this. This is very interesting. So we know we designed zirconia, and we say the PF3 porcelain fusing on the zirconia framework in the patient's mouth. We finish is easy to chipping, but for metal ceramic it's the same. So we must to think how to reduce and discreet about this problem. And we also know the porcelain easy to chipping on the zirconia framework have this six points for this so many articles. They correction and analyze show us this problem is about the veneer strength and the CTE is the mismatch, or the framework support is too poor, or it's a poor experience with the new material. Because the zirconia is the very new material just during this 20 years, but the metal ceramic is over 60 years. And and the 5 and the 6 point is about the dentist to adjust the occlusion in the patient's mouth. Some is the near surface damage when they to adjust or the patient to bite it, and the sliding contact fatigue. This is in the patient, but the 1 to 4 point is the dentist. Is the technician, dental technician. So we must to think how to do and to improve this problem. And we are very lucky because during the 2001 to nowadays, our zirconia material is more the development and the more better and the more easy to control and to use. So nowadays we have a very nice material is the high translucent, high strength, and also have the multicolor. So maybe nowadays we can do choice our restoration is without the porcelain. Why? Because we get the very nice effect and the beautiful zirconia. So maybe on the posterior crown, we just to staying and support for the implant restoration. So it's without the porcelain, so also don't without the chipping. So I like to use the Aidite 3D because this is all function, and every case, every situation, just only one material I can to fit the every situation. So it's very easy to use, and I don't to think every different type of design I can to use this. Because I say this have the multicolor, multi-translucent, and the multi-strength. And the latest is the 4 each zirconia to miss the 5 each zirconia. And this is the multi and the transition strength. And I can to use to design the anterior crown and the bridge and the posterior or implant crown, implant support crown, or long span implant support crown, or even the veneer. I can use this one material to fix the all situation. So I can very easy and fast finish my work, and I don't to think and to choose which one. And like this case, if I want the two facial layer, but I want to decrease about the chipping, I can to design my framework to the edge top and adjust the facial layer. But my bite and my protrusion never to touch my porcelain. So you can to see is the edge framework design. So my chewing and my bite is very safe. So I never to meet about the chipping. So my so many the anterior case needed to duplicate the neutral teeth. I will choose this way, and this design is very easy and no risk, no chipping. So for our daily work is everything make the faster and the more safe and without the repeated risk. And if the multi-uni and we don't to duplicate a neutral tools and don't duplicate a lot of the colorizatic, maybe I can to use the monolithic restoration, and I can also to use the 3D, and I don't need to layer anything, just the two external stand and use the biomix stand system. So I can very fast finish this case and without any porcelain. So that also mean without the chipping. But sometimes we will make the problem is the framework fracture. Why will framework fracture? Just only one thing. Just to think what? Because the zirconia is very sensitivity with the heat resource. We have the many procedure. Maybe we can to make the internal quick line in our zirconia framework. But we just to think. This the many different procedure and many steps will to make our zirconia have the quick line. But the more important is the quick light will exposure during our layer or staining procedure without the slow cooling. Why? Because we put our framework in the furnace and to bake it to the high temperature and to cooling down. But if you don't to use the slow cooling procedure, your zirconia is will to cooling too fast, and that will shrink stress inside. That is very strong, and the biggest stress make your zirconia to fracture and have a quick line. Sometimes maybe you have the internal quick line is very small and not very strong, and not very Scandinavian inside, but it's no problem. You can do finish it, there's no problem. But when you do back it again, but without the slow cooling, maybe this quick line will grow and become more and more and more, and the lead will broken. And even it's not broken, you have a very strong and bigger quick line inside, and you don't discover it. You finish this case to your dentist. Maybe for the patient mouth during half a year, lead will broken. So please make sure every time you to bake your framework with the slow cooling procedure. Especially now is a lot of the restoration is monolithic. The zirconia volume is bigger than the past, because the past we were to layer porcelain on the framework. So our zirconia framework is more small and more thin. But nowadays we have more and more monolithic, and our zirconia volume is more and more bigger. Even just 1 gram for the molar or for the very longer anterior, that is a very big volume. If you don't use a slow cooling, your framework is a slow cooling. Your framework cooling is not very balanced. That will have the strength inside, and that will make your framework have a quick life. So this is a danger. So every important thing is make your zirconia restoration to back every time during the slow cooling procedure, especially the long span or a bigger restoration. And I wanted to tell you another interesting and important thing is about your furnace, because in the past we don't need to care about our furnace. The Ibercala, the fragment is very nice for layering the restoration, but nowadays that is for zirconia or monocyclic zirconia or big volume zirconia is not very well. So if you want to use this type of furnace to baking your restoration, you must be very careful. It also can do use, but you must be very careful, because like the Dakima, the platform is up down, and the LED will make the slow cooling or your cooling procedure is more balanced, and it's very slowly and safe. But when you use the program, this is open in the front, and the back is a more small angle. So that is mean your heat the resource to release is not the very balanced. So that will easily make your restoration is not balanced to cooling, and some area will shrink too fast, and that will easy to make and leave the stress in your framework. So that is the danger. So when you want to use this type furnace to bag your big restoration or a long span, please follow this step and this position. Maybe like this case, please put your restoration and your crown and your bridge more close the back behind, and make the part area is found the make the how to say, is make the parallel side in the front, because this area is empty. So maybe it's release the heat resource more fast, is no problem. But if you change, you make your anterior the central incisor close to the front, maybe it's released too fast, it's danger, and you will broken in this area. So it's a very danger. So please don't cooling too fast, and please change the angle and the position when you use this type of furnace. You see, this the type of furnace, the heat will keep in the back, and the front is released very fast. So this is very dangerous. So when you want to put your framework and your big restoration in this type of furnace, please make sure and careful to put in the position in inner furnace, into furnace, and please remember to set in the slow cooling procedure. If you forgot that, I believe your framework is very, very dangerous, and you have a very high rate to broken. So it's a very dangerous. And finally, I wanted to discuss and to tell you about the type-based problem. We know that nowadays we wanted to create a zirconia abutment. We almost to use the type-based bond, the zirconia abutment. And if you use the titanium abutment, temporary abutment, maybe some because of some company their temporary abutment and the finally final abutment, aesthetic abutment, the material is 100% the same. So if they are also the Thai alloy, so you can also to use the temporary abutment to fix it. Maybe the Astra or the brand mark, they are the same. Final abutment and the temporary abutment, the material is 100% the same. So you also can to use it to fix your zirconia abutment. And the standard abutment is also no problem. And some company, they have the official the abutment. They will to create and design the very nice even it's short, but they will to create a lot of the retention for cement. But I said the length is very important. So I think this is no problem, but I don't recommend you to use too short the type base. Even is the authorization the third party like the CEREC or like you can do use the authorization the third party the roll abutment to cementation your zirconia abutment on it. Why is the very important about because the many zirconia abutment have the problem is the third party. Why? Because I say the official the Kang or the type base, their contact surface is very precise and no problem. But if your third party medicator layer quality is not very well, later I will show you, you will get a very interesting effect and interesting result about your final if you don't care late. Because they have as a relation third party, their contact surface is gets the original company authorization, so it's the 100% the same and fits very well and no problem. But some third party company or some some third party company, they just get the layer data, is not get the authorization. So they just use their mini machine 2 minutes, but that is not 100% the same. It just look similar, but this is not very stable and very precise. When you use this type base and the face and the screw on your feature, you will get some problem. So I said, if you want to create the type base bond the cornea abutment, you must to think about your structure length, about the retention. And the second is about your structure strength. Some third party, they meaning the type base is too thin or too weak. They will easy to broken. And the precise about the connected surface with the feature interface. This is very important. And finally is about the screw quality. Don't use the lab screw because it's very dangerous. And this is a third party problem. You can too fast is the very weak and too thin. So when this case is finished, the patient's mouth maybe the 2 year, we can do see this third party type base is broken. Maybe it look well. And you can do see this third party type base the platform and the tube they are sprayed. So this is very terrible. But when I get this before I do submit it, I think and I look is good. But that it mean there maybe the material quality have a problem, or their meaning machine quality have a problem. Just have this issue for us, but we never know. So please, when you want to choose your partner, must be very careful because they offer you the type base. If you can to make sure they have a good quality, please try to choose or buy the original or the original company or official or the other relation third party. Don't use the no name or you don't know the quality the company type base because it's very dangerous. And another is not precise. You can do see the feature and the type base is not stable and can't total sit down. We can do see the space, but sometimes this the space or is not total sit down and this platform is not very stable to fix on your feature. And your dentist forgot to check the X-ray. This is very dangerous because in this case, maybe the half a year during the chewing and the chewing is the type is broken or your screw will broken. And this is a big problem with the patient. And we will lose the trust from our dentist or the patient. So for technician, it's very dangerous. So please, you get the somebody the type base every time to try to it in the original analog. So this is a very important thing. Please to do this the check the step. Or like this, I said don't do coating. This is the third-party partner to coating the color, but he coating the color on the contact surface. So that means it's not very stable and precise on your feature in the patient's mouth. And all this is the same. The third party, the type-based platform is not the freight. After the mini is not the freight. It's the top another freight. So you can do see your reconia to fix and the cementation. You can do see the gap. Another is not very flat. It's in the patient's mouth. So you can do see during the X-ray. You can do see the gap and the space. And this area maybe will wash out or will make your reconia chipping or the margin broken. And both the picture is the same. It can to total sit down. Do even we use the screw. Sometimes dentist use the screw to direct to torque it. That will more close. But is the all stress is on the screw is very dangerous because the type base the age is not the head is not the fit on the fixture, so it's very not good quality. So when you finish this case in the patient mouth, maybe just a few times you have a bigger problem. And it's also the same. It's broken. First, the picture is broken, and the second is a very big problem is about the design. You see, their mini surface is very rough and terrible quality. But sometimes if we don't use the microscope to check it, you never to know about their quality. And the dentist to fix it in the patient's mouth or finish this case, that doesn't mean you lost their trust. And is the same, you see. So the picture is a very interesting. I don't know how to say it. Because their type base and the reconia abutment, you see the outside is the reconia and the inside is the type base. This is not good. I said the reconia direct to touch your platform. Later is have the micro mobility and the micro space that will to wear your feature. And maybe during a few times this will fail. So this is not good. And the third is the stem. Even our reconia, the abutment, the thickness is enough, but this is not stable and precise. The type base make it broken. So when you want to create and use the type base from a third party, to check their quality first and make sure they can give you the same and the high quality, because this is very important key point of the implant restoration. And the final thing is about the screw quality, because the many cases of screw retain the lateral force resistance is from the interface, where a type-based interface, and the second, the strength is the screw. But some company or some third-party partner, they will give you third-party screw. But my recommendation is never use a third-party screw, because some company their third-party screw is not during test, during the torque test. It's totally, maybe it look the same, but it's totally different the original final screw. So if you use this screw, maybe you have a problem and the lead will broken or easy loose in the patient mouth. You can do see they are look very similar, but the surface, the precise and the quality and the smooth is totally different final screw. So in my lab, I never use a third-party screw. Sometimes I will use it be the lab screw, but I never to use and offer it for my customer, because it's very, very dangerous and easy to fail for your case. And the final thing is the lab screw. I said third party is like the lab screw, because lab screw just for you to test the fix it on your model on analog, not to fix on the final feature. So lab screw is cheaper and don't do during test. But when maybe dentists to talk over the 20 Newton, 50 Newton, later will broken or fitted. So this is not good. So please remember, don't use the lab screw in the patient's mouth, or don't use the third-party screw for your customer. This is very important. And finally, we can to think again. If you want to reduce about your implant restoration value, to think the reason. When you pre-fabrication, we must to think how to design about fix the taper and about the emergency profile design and the customer made apartment, how to design and the occlusion position design. And the list for is about our concept and about our knowledge. And when we know leads, we just to make everything is very well and good. You can to prevent about the repeat problem. But after fabrication is problem, maybe the ceramic chipping or framework fracture. These the two problem is maybe some from the dentist or from the patient. Even we do every well, but some problem is not 100% for us, but we can to prevent it. We can do think how to design how to do more better. So I think maybe without the porcelain layer is without the chipping. Maybe we can do make sure and take care about the back procedure. We can do reduce the framework fracture rate. But about the cement loose and the type base broken is more important. Our choice is about the material quality. So please to think this just the you don't need any sense about this. Just choose the right material and then make your material quality is good and the choice right the company try the right brand. You can do support this problem. So this is not and never to happen, and you is never to happen and don't happen in the patient mouth or dentist, because the type base broken is the 100% from the technician job. So please take care. For my opinion, type base is very, very important thing for us. Never make it have a problem for to your customer and the patient, because this is the big problem and you will lose their trust. And finally, thanks everyone to spend your time to join today the webinar. And I also very thanks Aidite to give me this time. And I'm really sorry because in this time the Taiwan the COVID-19 situation is a little hard, and I can't very focus to prepare my webinar. Maybe today I'm not do very well job. And please understand and thanks for your join.
康老师有答疑环节。
好，我看一下啊。
发您微信。
在哪里？好，稍等我看一下。
Chat， 在微信。
微信。Okay, I check. Can we know how we get this implant apartment software? Because the about the implant apartment the surface well to the picture platform. This is a very interesting topic and it's not easy to explain. But I want to tell you, so if if you can to make the everything, you can make sure about your type base is a very good. I recommendation you choose the original standard apartment or their official type base, because the outside the cornea you can to choose any brand, and maybe I like to edit the product, but the contact and the interface and the type base is more important, because later will affect the implant survival rate. So please, the type base is very important. Please try the right and the good quality. So I say this is very difficult. And if you want to know about the wear data or something, and maybe I needed to find the article and to show you, and I will try to find the article and send to the Aidite. If you still have interesting, you can do follow the Aidite, the sales, and ask them. They will tell me. I will send to it for them. And please prefer where I buy from the Taipei's original third party, because I'm in Taiwan. Taiwan also have the third party factory, so I will use their third party factory. But sometimes every time we needed to check, because I change and try the 3 or 4 third party partners. Sometimes their product quality sometimes is also not stable. So every time I want to check that. And if possible, I also like to dentist offer me the original apartment, or the original company, original brand. They have the official type base. This is a very good and nice. And I will to how to say, I need to say that somebody is more cheaper, but I must have told you it's not stable, and so many companies not get the authorization. So if I wanted to buy the type base for my maybe SOK database, I will like and try to buy the authorization company is more good. But some third party, and so some cases a spatial design, I can do buy the very good the apartment for it. I will try to make the third party to meaning and to for me it's custom-made third party apartment. But sometimes the quality I needed to check by myself. So this is very important. So every company or every country, I think you can do buy and do choice, but the quality control is in yourself. I can do help you control. 对。If the third party premium, if this company maybe like maybe the Ceramio or the Kongsang Road apartment, if they get authorization, I think it's very nice. But if they don't get authorization, it's like the normal third party factory. You need to check and follow the quality by yourself. Nobody can give you a promise. This is very important, because nowadays some implant company like the 3i or the Zimmer, if dentist or the patient's implant failure, they request them must send back the implant feature and the apartment come back to them. They needed to check, because now some original implant company, they know some implant failure is the apartment. So if you don't use the authorization, the custom apartment or the original apartment, you choose a third party, make this the implant failure. Sometimes they are not free over the dentist one piece. They will say this is your problem, make this implant failure. So they never to offer you a free. So sometimes this is a big problem with you and your dentist. if the dentist can get the free implant again to re-implant, I think he will argue with the dental technician. So this is a big problem.
Have you other questions? Mm, 没有了，康老师可以结束了。
Okay, and thanks everyone. Thanks everyone to join today's webinar. And now is almost close the 11 o'clock, 9 p.m. So I'm must say apologize about my English because maybe it's not very smooth. And it's happy everyone can do join and listen my webinar. Thank you. It's my pleasure. Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.
Thanks for Mr. Kang. Thanks for everyone. Tomorrow we have other courses about implant course. If you are interested, you can follow our official Facebook and contact our sales manager, get passwords. Thanks. Have a nice day. Bye.
Bye. Good night.
Bye. Good night.
Goodbye. Thank you.
And now I'm standing outside my company, and today I will introduce all of our products with you. So now follow me, let's go to our storeroom. Okay, so now let me introduce all of the company to you. The first building you will see is our office building. This one we have many important departments like sales department, planning department, and also our HR department. The next building is our new building. We call it R&D building. In this building here, we have our R&D center, technical service department, and also our CAD/CAM department. So the next building, if you have ever been here, you can know that's why it's our workshop. We have all of our production line in this building and also our workshop. The last building I want to introduce to you is the one my favorite. We call it administrative building. So in this building we have our gym and our function hall. So we can have a lot of fun in this building. So like we can play ping pong and we can do some sports. And the last is the function hall we have at the top of this building. Okay, so now it's time to introduce our product to you. Now follow me, let's go to our warehouse. So now let's go to check our products. This is our finished product warehouse. You can have all of our materials in this shop. In this shelf, you can see is our classic materials, and we call it Superfact Zero. The first one I want to introduce to you is the HT material. And this one is the opaque zirconia blocks, and we use it mostly for the coupings. And next we have two more translucent one, and we can use it for the full contour posterior crowns. Let me introduce to you. Okay, so now in my hands, this